In the gripping web naval HOA sent cops after black woman, not knowing she's the county sheriff. The story follows Maya Reynolds, a decorated black sheriff who moves into an affluent suburban neighborhood with her mother, Eleanor, only to face relentless harassment from Karen Whitfield, the manipulative HOA president. What begins with petty complaints about flowers escalates into a dangerous false 911 call, where armed officers storm Maya's home unaware that she is the very sheriff sworn to protect them. Across 9 chapters, the narrative exposes systemic racism, cowardly silence from neighbors, betrayal within the HOA board, and Maya's unshakable resilience. Through tense confrontations, powerful dialogue, and emotional reckonings, the truth unravels as Karen's lies backfire, her allies abandon her, and she's disgraced in front of the entire county. In the end, poetic justice triumphs. Maya not only clears her name but reclaims her peace, planting a garden that symbolizes strength, belonging, and the courage to root out hate, one seed at a time. The cul-de-sac was quiet that Saturday morning, sunlight spilling across trimmed hedges and identical lawns. Every house looked like the next, clipped, approved, uniform. Every house but one. Maya Reynolds knelt in her front yard, hands dirty with soil, planting purple wildflowers around her porch. Her short curls stuck to her forehead as she wiped sweat with her forearm. From across the street, Karen Whitfield's sharp voice pierced the calm. Karen, excuse me, ma'am, what exactly are you doing to your yard? Maya looked up slowly, calm, patient. Maya, planting flowers, figured the place could use some color. Karen crossed the street in her pristine white sneakers, clutching her clipboard like a weapon. Karen, color. This neighborhood follows guidelines. The HOA manual clearly states, fescue grass, trimmed no higher than 3 inches. Note, weeds. She eyed the wildflowers like they were graffiti. Maya steady. These aren't weeds, they're perennials, good for pollinators, and frankly, beautiful. Karen's lips tightened. Karen, beauty is subjective. Rules are not. We worked hard to maintain standards here. Property values depend on it. Maya stood, brushing dirt from her hands. She was taller than Karen, but her posture was relaxed. Maya, property values won't collapse over flowers. Double quotes. Karen snapping. You don't decide that. The board does. And as HOA president, I'm telling you, this is unacceptable. Silence stretched. A few blinds in nearby windows twitched, Maya noted. But last I checked, it's my yard. Karen's face flushed, her polite smile cracking. Karen, we'll see how long that attitude lasts. Maya held her gaze without blinking. Maya, I moved here to be closer to my mother. I'm not here to start fights, but I won't be bullied into conformity either. Karen scoffed. Karen, no one's bullying you. We just expect everyone to respect the same rules. You want to change things, you'll need approval. And let me be clear, approval won't happen. Maya bent back to her flowers. Maya softly, without looking up, we'll see. Karen lingered, waiting for submission. None came. Karen coldly. Fine, expect a notice. Her sneakers squeaked against the pavement as she stormed off. For a moment, the cul-de-sac returned to silence. Birds chirped above, but the air felt charged. Maya's mother peeked from the doorway. Mother, baby, already troubled. Maya forced a small smile. Maya, nothing I can't handle. Mama, just a flower bed that scares folks. Her mother's eyes softened with both pride and worry. Mother, people fear what they don't control. Maya pressed another flower into the soil, her voice quiet but firm. Maya, then let them be afraid. The flowers stood bright against the uniform lawns, a quiet defiance, roots sinking deep. The first letter arrived 3 days later. Maya found it taped neatly to her front door, folded in the HOA's pale blue stationery. The wording was formal, but the meaning was sharp. Violation notice number 001, front lawn non-compliance. Corrective action required within 14 days. Failure to comply will result in fines of $50. Day. Maya sighed, reading it aloud on her porch. Maya dryly. Wow, day 1 and I'm already a criminal. Her mother, Eleanor, sat in a rocking chair, knitting in the morning sun. She peered over her glasses. Eleanor, they really put that in writing. Over flowers. Maya, apparently, the paper crinkled as she tucked it under her arm. She glanced across the street. Karen Whitfield stood near her mailbox, pretending to check envelopes. Their eyes met. Karen's smirk widened. Maya didn't flinch. By the following week, There were more letters. One about the mailbox paint, another about her garbage cans being visible for longer than 15 minutes. Each word was coded in faux professionalism, but bled with intent. On Wednesday evening, Maya caught Karen standing in her driveway, clipboard in hand. Maya walking up calmly. Karen, you're trespassing. Karen spun around, her smile all sugar. Karen, oh Maya, just conducting a routine property inspection. Standard procedure, Maya, at 8 o'clock at night. Karen cheerfully, community pride never sleeps. Maya crossed her arms. Maya, neither does harassment, apparently. Karen tilted her head, feigning innocence. Karen, harassment, please, I'm simply ensuring fairness. We hold everyone accountable here. Equal treatment. Maya quietly, firmly, equal or targeted. Karen's smile stiffened. Karen, excuse me, Maya, we both know you don't knock on every door, just mine. Karen's laugh was high and brittle. Karen, you're imagining things. Honestly, Maya, I expected more community spirit from you, but perhaps you're not used to neighborhoods like this. The pause before neighborhoods was deliberate. Maya stepped closer, her voice low enough for only Karen to hear. Maya, I've lived in neighborhoods tougher than this, and I've kept them safe. Don't mistake silence for weakness. For a flicker, Karen's mask slipped, her eyes narrowed, lips pressing thin. Karen snapping. If you don't like the rules, maybe Willow Creek isn't the right fit for you. Maya, oh, I fit just fine. It's the rules that don't. Karen huffed, scribbled something on her clipboard, and marched away. Later that night, inside the house, Eleanor watched her daughter pace. Eleanor, they won't stop, will they? Maya, no bullies rarely do, not when they think they've got power behind them. She dropped into a chair, rubbing her temples. The letters were stacked neatly on the kitchen counter, like evidence. Eleanor softly, why not just cut the flowers? Make it easy. Maya looked at her mother, the woman who had raised her alone, who had taught her to hold her head high, even when doors slammed shut. Maya firm, because it's not about flowers, Mama, it never was. Silence filled the kitchen, heavy but true. The next morning, another letter. This one was different, bold, at the top. Final warning. Maya stood on her porch reading, her jaw tightening. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Karen lingered at the end of the cul-de-sac, phone in hand, pretending to chat. Maya read the words aloud, her voice steady though anger bubbled beneath. Maya, failure to comply will result in further action, including law enforcement involvement if necessary. She lowered the paper slowly. Her mother's voice broke the silence. Eleanor worried. Law enforcement, over flowers. Maya folded the letter, sliding it into her pocket. Maya cold, resolute, let them try. She turned her gaze across the street. Karen froze mid-sentence, her phone slipping lower, as Maya's eyes locked on hers. The war was no longer subtle. The HOA meeting room smelled of stale coffee and disinfectant. Metal folding chairs scraped against linoleum as neighbors shuffled inside, some avoiding eye contact, others whispering in corners. Karen Whitfield stood at the front with her clipboard, papers stacked like ammunition. A banner on the wall read, Willow Creek HOA, protecting our community since 1992. Maya slipped into a seat at the back. She didn't need to be there. The notice had been taped to her door like all the others, but she came anyway. She wanted to see who would speak when the masks came off. Karen cleared her throat, her smile rehearsed. Karen, thank you all for coming on such short notice. We have urgent business, a matter threatening the very integrity of Willow Creek. Murmurs rippled. A man in a polo shirt leaned over to his wife. Man whispering, is this about the lawn again? Karen slapped her clipboard against the table. Karen, this isn't just about a lawn, it's about order, about the image of our community. She scanned the crowd, letting her words hang heavy. Karen dramatically. One homeowner, and I'll be blunt, Miss Maya Reynolds has repeatedly refused to comply with our guidelines, despite numerous warnings. All eyes turned to Maya. She sat still, arms folded, expression unreadable. Karen pressed on. Karen, flowers in place of grass, trash bins visible for hours, a mailbox in desperate need of repainting. Small infractions, perhaps, but when combined, they spell chaos. And chaos spreads. A woman in the second row raised her hand timidly. Neighbor 1, Karen, with all respect, flowers don't exactly scream chaos. Karen's smile tightened. Karen, it starts with flowers, then unapproved fences, then cars on lawns. Before you know it, property values plummet. Safety declines. We've all seen neighborhoods fall. I refuse to let that happen here. Her words dripped with coded fear. Maya, finally speaking, calm. So wildflowers are now a gateway to crime. The room chuckled nervously. Karen's cheeks, reddened. Karen, don't twist my words. This is about rules. We all agreed to them when we moved here. Maya steady. Rules applied equally, right? Because I've noticed plenty of violations. Faded shutters, a basketball hoop in a driveway, a boat parked longer than the bylaws allow. Yet somehow, only my home gets letters. Silence. A few neighbors glanced at each other. Guilty. Karen snapping. That's not the same. Maya, no. Explain how. Karen's jaw worked, but no words came. Instead, she pivoted. Karen, voice rising. Look, maybe you're not used to communities like ours. Maybe where you come from. She stopped herself, but the meaning lingered in the air like smoke. Maya's eyes sharpened. Maya, finish that sentence. Karen. The room froze. Even the hum of the air conditioner seemed to pause. Karen shifted, forcing a laugh. Karen, no need to be hostile. I only meant this isn't personal. Maya low, firm. Everything about this is personal. A man in the third row finally spoke up. Neighbor 2, honestly. Karen, I think she's right. You've been harder on her than anyone else. I've left my cans out overnight, plenty of times. No letter. A few murmurs of agreement followed. Karen's face twitched. Karen defensive. We can't let sympathy blind us. If we don't enforce standards, we risk Maya cutting in. What you risk is exposing yourself. You've turned rules into weapons. And the target's been obvious from day one. Her words hit like stone against glass. Karen's voice cracked as she tried to recover. Karen, I won't stand here and be accused of prejudice. My job is to protect this neighborhood. If you people can't see that her rant spiraled, but the room no longer leaned toward her. People shifted uncomfortably, some avoiding her gaze altogether. Maya stood slowly, Maya calm, commanding. I moved here to take care of my mother, to live quietly. I don't need this circus, but make no mistake, I won't be intimidated. Not by letters, not by meetings, not by you. Her voice carried weight. Steady but unyielding. Karen slammed her clipboard shut. Karen furious. Then you leave me no choice. This board will take further action. She spat the words like venom. Her smile gone, her mask shattered. Maya didn't flinch. She simply nodded once, turned, and walked out. The metal door clanged shut behind her. Inside. The room sat in stunned silence. For the first time, Karen looked less like a leader and more like what she was, a cornered bully. Desperate to maintain control. Karen Whitfield's fingers drummed nervously against her phone screen. The meeting had not gone the way she wanted. Whispers were growing. Some neighbors had dared question her authority. And worst of all, Maya Reynolds had walked out without fear, like she was untouchable. Karen couldn't stand it. She stood in her spotless kitchen that night, pacing across gleaming tiles. The phone was already in her hand. She had rehearsed the words in her head. All she needed was courage, or the twisted version of it that hatred provides. She dialed. Dispatcher.com, County 911. What's your emergency? Karen's voice shook, but it was deliberate. A practiced tremor. Karen, breathless. Yes, hello. I don't know how else to say this, but there's a woman in our neighborhood acting suspicious. She's armed, I think. The dispatcher's tone sharpened. Dispatcher, can you describe the individual? Karen hesitated, letting her voice drop to a fearful whisper. Karen, she's a black woman, tall, short hair, lives on Willow Creek Drive. I've seen her carrying weapons into her house. It was a lie. Maya had brought in a duffel bag earlier that week, gym gear, but Karen spun it differently. Dispatcher, ma'am, what type of weapons? Karen pressed her palm against her forehead, forcing fake panic. Karen, I don't know, but long cases, heavy bags. Please, I'm worried. She doesn't belong here, and she's been confrontational. People are scared. Her words dripped with poison, carefully painted as concern. The dispatcher typed. The weight of Karen's lies turned into keystrokes, into action. Dispatcher units will be dispatched to investigate. Karen swallowed, feigning relief. Karen, thank you. Please, hurry. She hung up, her hands trembling, though not with fear, with exhilaration. From her kitchen window, she could see Maya's house across the street, porch light glowing warm. Inside, shadows moved. Maya and her mother in the kitchen, laughter faintly audible through the summer air. A scene of peace Karen wanted shattered. inside Maya's home. The mood was opposite. Eleanor stirred a pot on the stove, humming softly. The smell of garlic and onions filled the air. Maya set plates on the table, moving slower than usual. Exhaustion pulling at her shoulders. Eleanor gently. You're quiet tonight. Maya sighing. Just tired. Meetings drained me more than patrol shifts ever did. Eleanor smiling faintly. You held your own. I saw it in your eyes when you walked back in. That woman, she wanted to break you, but she can't. Maya smiled, though it was small, almost fragile. Maya, sometimes I wonder if standing my ground is enough. Feels like playing defense in a game where they keep moving the goalposts. Eleanor set the spoon down, touching her daughter's arm. Eleanor, you've survived worse. You survived streets that chewed men up. You survived a badge that made you a target from both sides. You'll survive, Karen Whitfield. Maya chuckled softly, squeezing her mother's hand. Maya, I hope so. But I don't want you caught in the crossfire. Eleanor shook her head. Eleanor, I've lived too long to be afraid of nosy neighbors. Let them gossip. Let them scheme. We'll eat, we'll laugh, we'll live. That's how we fight. The clatter of dishes, the hum of the stove, the smell of simmering stew, everything was ordinary, safe. Neither of them knew the storm, already rushing toward their door. Across the street, Karen's phone buzzed. A message from a friend on the HOA board lit her screen. Karen, what did you do? People are saying you called the cops. Karen typed back quickly, thumbs stabbing the glass. I did what had to be done. You'll thank me when they see who she really is. She pressed send, then closed the blinds. Sirens were already faint in the distance. The sirens came first, wailing through the night, flashing red and blue washed across the quiet cul-de-sac like a storm. Cars screeched to a halt, tires crunching on asphalt, doors slammed. Voices barked. Maya looked up from the dinner table, forks still in hand. Eleanor's spoon froze midair, stew dripping back into the bowl. Eleanor alarmed. Maya. Then came the knock. No, not a knock, a pounding. Fists slamming against the front door. Officer shouting, Sheriff Reynolds, step outside. Hands visible. Maya's chair scraped against the floor as she stood, confusion flashing to fury in seconds. Maya, what the hell? Another command barked through the door. Officer, now, step outside, slowly. Her mother's hands trembled. Eleanor, don't open it, baby. Maya placed a steady hand on hers. Maya calm but firm. It's okay, Mama, I've dealt with this before. She walked to the door, unlocked it, and stepped into the flood of red and blue. 6 officers stood in her driveway, guns drawn, flashlights blinding her eyes. Neighbors poured from their homes, whispers buzzing like insects. Karen Whitfield stood at the edge of her lawn, arms folded, watching with smug satisfaction. Officer commanding, hands in the air. Step forward. Maya raised her hands, the porch light glinting off the silver watch on her wrist. Her voice was steady, deliberate. Maya, I live here. My name is Maya Reynolds. Officer, step forward slowly. Keep your hands up. Her bare feet moved down the steps, one at a time. Eleanor appeared in the doorway behind her, voice breaking. Eleanor shouting, she hasn't done anything. She's my daughter. Officer ignoring, any weapons on you, ma'am? Maya flatly, no. Officer, any weapons inside the residence? Maya exhaled, eyes narrowing. Maya, yes. The officers stiffened, fingers tightening on triggers. Karen smirked, victorious. Maya loud firm, because I am the sheriff of this county. I carry a service weapon, lawfully issued. Badge number 2173. My identification is inside my home. My deputies know me. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. One officer lowered his weapon a fraction, blinking hard. Officer 2 hesitant. Wait, what's your name again? Maya with steel. Sheriff. Maya Reynolds. The word sheriff cracked through the air. Whispers rippled among the neighbors. Someone gasped. Karen's arms unfolded slowly, her smugness faltering. The lead officer cleared his throat, sweat glistening at his temple. Officer stammering. Ma'am, we received a report, call of suspicious activity. Alleged weapons. Maya cutting in, voice icy. And you showed up like this, guns out, at my mother's home. Based on a call, no one answered. The weight of her authority pressed down on the scene. Eleanor stepped forward from the doorway, anger shaking her small frame. Eleanor furious. You could have killed my baby, over flowers and lies. The officers shifted, eyes downcast, guns lowered, one by one. until the night was filled not with commands, but shame. Maya dropped her hands slowly. Maya to the lead officer. Holster your weapons, all of you, now. The order cracked like a whip. Instinct overrode hesitation. Weapons clicked back into holsters. Karen stepped forward suddenly, desperate to reclaim control. Karen voice shrill. Don't let her intimidate you. She's dangerous. She threatened me. Maya turned, her gaze locking onto Karen. Maya cold, calm, careful. Karen, lies carry consequences. Karen's face reddened, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Maya faced the officers again, her voice quieter now, but no less sharp. Maya, who made the call? The lead officer hesitated, then glanced sideways. His eyes landed on Karen. Slowly, so slowly. The whole crowd turned to her. Karen's smugness had vanished. Neighbor 1 whispering. She did it. She called the cops and the sheriff. Neighbor 2 muttering. Unbelievable. Karen stammered, sweat glistening at her temple. Karen, I was just protecting the neighborhood. I didn't know. Maya interrupting, voice like steel. Didn't know I was the sheriff, or didn't care that I'm black. The words dropped heavy in the night air. The neighbors gasped. Karen froze, caught in the truth she couldn't deny. For the first time, Karen had no script. Maya turned back to the officers, voice steady. Maya, leave now, and file a report. Every word of this documented. The lead officer swallowed hard, nodded, and signaled his team. Engines roared back to life. One by one, patrol cars pulled away, lights fading. Silence returned to Willow Creek. Maya stood in the middle of her driveway, arms folded now, her authority radiating. Neighbors shifted, some ashamed, some emboldened. Eleanor came down the steps, placing a protective hand on her daughter's arm. Karen stood alone, trembling. Maya softly, almost to herself. And you thought I wouldn't fight back. The night closed in, but the war had only just begun. The next morning, Willow Creek buzzed like a hive rattled by a stick. News of the sirens had spread fast. Neighbors gathered in hushed circles on sidewalks, voices low, eyes darting. Everyone knew, everyone had seen. Karen Whitfield, however, acted as if nothing had happened. She strutted up and down the cul-de-sac with her clipboard, her smile pasted on too tightly, as if she could erase the night before by pretending it never happened. But Maya Reynolds was not about to let silence rewrite the story. She waited until when enough neighbors were outside mowing lawns, walking dogs, pretending not to watch. Then she stepped onto her porch, her uniform on. For the first time since moving in, the badge on her chest caught the sun. Eleanor watched from the rocking chair, silent, proud. Karen froze midst, her smile faltering. Maya, loud enough for all to hear. Karen, we need to talk. The air shifted. People stopped what they were doing. A dog leash slipped from someone's hand. The street became a stage. Karen forced a laugh, walking toward Maya. Karen, talk about what last night was just a misunderstanding. Maya descended the steps slowly, each one deliberate. Maya, a misunderstanding. 6 officers with guns drawn at my home, my mother terrified, my neighbors watching like I was a criminal. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was a lie. Gasps fluttered. Karen's smile cracked. Karen defensive. I didn't lie. I simply reported what I thought I saw. Maya cutting her off. What you wanted to see. You told police I was suspicious, that I had weapons, that I didn't belong here. You knew exactly what you were doing. Karen's cheeks flushed, her voice shrilled. Karen, you can't prove that. Maya calm, sharp. The call is recorded. Every word. Dispatch has it. The report is already filed. Karen's eyes widened. A ripple moved through the gathered neighbors. Neighbor 1 muttering. She really did call them. Neighbor 2 shaking head. Over flowers. Maya stepped closer, her voice steady, but carrying weight. Maya, you used the police as a weapon, not to protect this neighborhood, but to target me, because you saw someone who didn't fit your version of community. Karen stammered, voice cracking. Karen, that's ridiculous. I don't see color. Maya firm, cold. You saw it when you dialed those numbers. You saw it when you told them I was dangerous. You saw it when you smiled as they aimed guns at me. Karen's mask shattered. She opened her mouth, closed it again, her words failing. The silence pressed down heavy. Then, a voice from the crowd. Neighbor 3 angry. You put us all at risk. Karen, they could have shot her. Neighbor 4 nodding. Her mom was right there. You crossed a line. The tide had shifted. Whispers turned into accusations. Karen turned in circles, desperate. Karen, I was protecting the neighborhood. That's my duty as HOA president. Maya didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to dot Maya low steady. Your duty is fairness, respect, truth. You failed. And last night, everyone saw it. Karen looked around, but no support came. Neighbors avoided her gaze. Some shook their heads. Some whispered openly. Eleanor finally spoke, her voice clear from the porch. Eleanor, my daughter wears that badge to protect this county. She bleeds for people who don't even like her. And you repaid her with lies. Shame on you. The words hit harder than any shout. Karen flinched, her clipboard trembling in her hands. Maya stepped back, her eyes never leaving Karen's. Maya, final, cutting. You wanted me humiliated. You wanted me gone, but all you did was expose yourself, and I won't let you bury this under silence. She turned, walking back toward her porch. Eleanor reached for her hand as she climbed the steps. Behind her, the street buzzed again, but this time with voices against Karen, neighbor to another. She can't keep her position after this. Neighbor 3, no way, she's finished. Karen stood alone in the center of the cul-de-sac, her clipboard hanging useless at her side, her authority crumbling. And for the first time, she looked small. The following evening, the Willow Creek Community Center glowed with its harsh fluorescent lights. Folding chairs were arranged in neat rows, the HOA board seated at the long table in front. For years, Karen Whitfield had presided at its center, like a queen on her throne. Tonight, however, her crown wobbled. The seats were filled, more neighbors than usual, murmuring, restless, waiting. The events of the past 2 nights had stirred something in the community. The sirens, the lies, the badge. Maya Reynolds didn't attend in uniform. She came in plain clothes, sitting quietly in the back beside Eleanor. She didn't need to speak tonight. The truth had already taken root. Karen cleared her throat, slamming her gavel a little too hard. Karen, order. We'll begin this special meeting immediately. First item, security concerns. I'd like to remind everyone that as your president, a hand shot up from the board. It was David Chen, the HOA treasurer. David firm. No. First item, your conduct. Karen. The room erupted in whispers. Karen's eyes darted, her smile faltering. Karen laughing nervously. My conduct? What are you talking about? I was protecting the neighborhood. Board member number 2 interrupting, by calling the police with false claims, by endangering a resident's life. We've all heard the recording. Karen froze. Karen, you've heard it. David, it was leaked this morning. Half the neighborhood has it on their phones. From the back, someone held up their screen. Karen's own voice played, frantic, venomous. Black woman lurking, possibly armed. Send units quickly. Gasps. A few groans. Eleanor's hand tightened on Maya's. Karen slammed the gavel again, her voice cracking. Karen, that's out of context. You're twisting my words. Board member number 3 coldly. No, Karen, you twisted the truth. You weaponized the police. That's not leadership. That's abuse. The whispers grew louder, voices layering over each other. Neighbor in crowd. She could have gotten Maya killed. Another voice. This isn't the first time either. She harassed the Garcias last year over their lawn. Third voice. Yeah, and the Johnsons about their mailbox color. The tide surged. Karen's eyes darted wildly. She turned toward the board, desperate. Karen, you can't do this. I've given years to this neighborhood. I keep it orderly. David cutting in. You keep it controlled. That's not the same thing. And now, you've put us all at risk. If the sheriff's office investigates, the HOA will be liable. All eyes turned toward Maya, who sat silently, calm, her presence heavy even without a word. Karen pointed, her voice shrilled. Karen, she's behind this. She's manipulating you all. Maya finally rose, her voice low but carrying. Maya, I didn't have to manipulate anyone. Karen, you exposed yourself. The room went silent. Karen's gavel trembled in her hand. Sweat clung to her temples. David, the board has voted. Effective immediately. You are removed as president. Karen staggered back, as if struck. Karen pleading. You can't. You need me. Without me, this place will fall apart. Board member number 2, coldly. Without you, this place might finally breathe. The gavel slipped from Karen's hand, clattering onto the table. Neighbors began to applaud. It started hesitant, then grew, echoing through the hall. Some stood, some cheered, others just sighed, relief washing over them. Karen stood frozen in the storm of sound, her face pale, her body rigid. For the first time, her power meant nothing. Maya didn't clap. She only watched, not gloating, not smiling, just watching. Eleanor leaned close, whispering softly. Eleanor, poetic justice, baby, just like it should be. Maya exhaled slowly, her shoulders loosening. Karen stumbled off the stage, ignored by the very people who once obeyed her. Her clipboard slipped from her arms, scattering papers across the floor. No one bent to help her. And for the first time in Willow Creek, Karen Whitfield walked alone. 2 days later, Willow Creek felt different. The air was lighter, conversations freer. Children played on lawns without wary glances at clipboard patrols. Neighbors who had once stayed quiet now waved at Maya as she passed, some with guilty smiles, others with genuine warmth. But beneath the calm, anticipation simmered. The county had launched a formal inquiry. Karen's false 911 call wasn't just a neighborhood matter anymore. It was on record, and it carried consequences. That Saturday morning, the town square filled with residents for the county's community safety meeting. Rows of folding chairs lined the courthouse steps. Reporters mingled, cameras ready. The story had spread beyond Willow Creek now. Maya stood near the front, Eleanor at her side. She wore her uniform, not for pride, but for truth. Her badge gleamed in the morning sun, no longer hidden. When Karen Whitfield arrived, whispers followed her like a shadow. She wore her usual pearls and pressed blazer, but her face was pale, her smile brittle. She clutched her clipboard like a shield, though it now looked absurd, a flimsy relic of lost power. The county commissioner stepped to the podium, his voice booming through the mic. Commissioner, we are here to address a deeply troubling incident that occurred in Willow Creek. An HOA president abused emergency services, filing a false report that endangered the life of a resident who, as it turns out, serves this county as sheriff. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Karen shifted in her seat, her knuckles white around the clipboard. Commissioner continuing. Let it be clear, law enforcement is not a tool for personal prejudice. We will not tolerate weaponized 911 calls. We will not tolerate racism disguised as safety. Applause erupted. Some people stood. Eleanor clapped softly, her eyes wet with pride. Karen's jaw clenched. She sprang to her feet, shouting over the noise. Karen shrill. This is a witch hunt. I was protecting my community. That woman doesn't belong here. The words slipped before she could stop them. Gasps cut the air like a blade. Neighbors shouting, there it is. She said it. Another voice, doesn't belong. She's the sheriff. Reporter calling out, Mrs. Whitfield, are you admitting bias played a role in your call? Karen froze, panic flooding her features. She tried to backpedal, her voice cracking. Karen. No, I just meant, but the crowd wasn't buying it. Maya rose slowly, her uniform commanding silence. She didn't raise her voice, yet it carried. Maya, I do belong here. My mother belongs here. Every family belongs here, no matter the color of their skin. What doesn't belong is hate disguised as rules, or fear pretending to be safety. The applause roared this time, echoing off courthouse walls. Karen's face crumpled, her words lost beneath the surge of voices. The commissioner banged the podium lightly, restoring order. Commissioner Mrs. Whitfield, effective immediately. You are barred from serving on any community board in this county. Your case will also be reviewed by the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges regarding the false 911 report. Karen staggered, as if the ground had betrayed her. Her clipboard slipped from her hands, clattering to the pavement. No one picked it up. Reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. Karen pushed through the crowd, her cries drowned by questions, her once commanding presence reduced to a desperate figure fleeing the spotlight. Eleanor reached for Maya's hand, squeezing tight. Eleanor softly. Justice, baby. Real justice. Maya exhaled, her chest heavy but lighter than it had been in weeks. She looked around at the crowd, neighbors cheering, children smiling, voices raised, not in fear, but in unity. And for the first time since moving to Willow Creek, Maya felt something settle inside her. Not just survival, not just resistance. Belonging. As the commissioner closed the meeting, a young boy tugged at Maya's sleeve. Boy shy. Sheriff, thank you for keeping us safe. Maya knelt, her voice gentle. Maya, that's what I'm here for. All of you. The boy grinned, running back to his family. Eleanor chuckled, dabbing her eyes. The crowd began to disperse, laughter and chatter filling the air. Maya stood still for a moment, taking it in. The same town that had watched her with suspicion now looked at her with respect, or at least the beginning of it. Karen's shadow was gone. Maya turned to Eleanor, her voice quiet, almost to herself. Maya, they sent cops to take me down, but today, justice stood taller. Eleanor smiled, wrapping her arm around her daughter, and together, they walked home, not as outsiders, but as part of a community, finally forced to face its truth. Weeks passed, the noise, the sirens, the shouting, all of it faded into memory. Willow Creek settled into a quieter rhythm. Children played tag on sidewalks. Couples strolled in the evenings. The air no longer carried the sharp tension of suspicion. And in front of 214 Willow Creek Lane, a garden bloomed again. Maya knelt in the soil, her hands steady, planting marigolds along the edge of the walkway. The earth was cool beneath her gloves, the sun warm on her back. Eleanor sat nearby in her chair, humming softly. A basket of seedlings at her side. Eleanor smiling. You always did have your father's touch with the soil. Strong hands, but gentle. Maya chuckled, wiping sweat from her brow. Maya, guess I got more from him than just stubbornness. They shared a laugh, a soft, healing sound. Neighbors passed now without glares or whispers. Some stopped to greet them. A young couple brought over lemonade one afternoon. An older woman offered a tray of cookies. Small gestures, but meaningful. One morning, David Chen from the HOA board stopped by. He stood at the edge of the yard, hands in his pockets, nervous. David, Sheriff Reynolds. Maya looked up, pulling off her gloves. Maya is fine. David nodded, his eyes apologetic. David, I should have spoken up sooner. I saw how Karen treated you. I thought staying quiet kept the peace, but silence only helped her. Maya studied him for a moment, then nodded. Maya softly. It takes courage to admit that. Thank you. David exhaled, relief in his shoulders. David, if you're willing, the board would like your advice on making this community better, fairer. Eleanor chuckled from her chair. Eleanor, careful, baby. They might have you running the whole neighborhood soon. Maya laughed, shaking her head. Maya, I'll think about it. David left with a grateful nod, and Maya returned to her flowers. That night, as the sun dipped low, Eleanor sat with her daughter on the porch. The crickets sang, and the marigolds glowed in the fading light. Eleanor softly. I worried moving here would break you. Instead, you've shown them all who you are. You've planted more than flowers. Maya, you've planted truth. Maya looked out at the yard, bright, alive, a symbol of resilience. Maya, maybe that's how change starts. Not all at once, just seed by seed. Silence stretched, comfortable and full. Finally, Eleanor whispered, her voice a blessing. Eleanor, your father would be proud. Maya closed her eyes, letting the words settle deep. The wind stirred the flowers, carrying their scent across the street. And in that moment, Maya knew Willow Creek was no longer just a house or a fight. It was home. Not because the community had accepted her, but because she had claimed her place in it. The garden grew, and so did she.